This episode is brought to you by Indeed. When your computer breaks, you don't wait for it to magically start working again. You fix the problem. So why wait to hire the people your company desperately needs? Use Indeed's sponsored jobs to hire top talent fast. And even better, you only pay for results. There's no need to wait. Speed up your hiring with a $75 sponsored job credit at Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply.
Hi, and welcome back to Realistic Sustainability's Educational Shorts. Grayson, did you have a question?
Hey Mike, what kind of solar energy are there?
Ooh, that's one of my favorite questions. I like solar power, mainly because it's clean. And yes, it's renewable, but as we talked about before, it's clean, which means that other than its production of the panel, it doesn't need an energy source. It's endless. As long as the sun shines, we can make electricity. Now, if the sun stops shining, well, in 8 minutes it won't matter anyways. But there are several different ways we use the sun when it comes to energy. The first one is what we're so used to seeing, the photovoltaic panel, or solar panels. It's what you see on the tops of people's houses. It's where you have a silicone panel with these strips that go through them, and as the light or solar radiation hits that panel, it strips off electrons. Those electrons we get to use as electricity. Now, they do a lot of things with them. Most of the time you just see them attached to racking on the top of houses. If you're in the northern hemisphere, hopefully with southern exposure, and vice versa, to maximize the exposure. But it's not stopped there. There's light tracking systems. I'm sure you saw on Facebook the flower made of solar panels that opens up and tracks the sun as it goes. They do that with just panels too, on a pivot point. There's also clear glass film style. This was invented by a Michigan State University professor just a few hours from me. It allows a solar panel to just look like a window. You can see through it. It's clear. Could you imagine if every window of every house or every office building was a solar panel? That would be nice. I've recently seen that the Dyson Award was given to an individual who created a biofilm, using organic materials to create a biofilm that also induces electricity. I'd like to talk more about it, but I don't think I know enough about it to talk about it that deep. Most of the time, we see solar panels on the roofs of things, but I don't think it can stop there, or should stop there. Yes, on the rooftops, if it's not a green space, it should be a panel. Maybe on certain walls facing the sun, or where it gets the most exposure. Carport roofs, that's another thing you don't see very often. But can we go a little further? There's a company that does solar roads. Now, from my studies, I'm not sure about the road portion, but I think it would really work for trails, parking lots, anything in a park where you're not going fast. How about the basketball court? Maybe a tennis court. All of those could collect electricity. Any of those surfaces, and you wouldn't have to shovel them, or they have the ability to create their own heat and melt all the snow and ice for all of us here in Michigan. You also see them, like here near my home, large fields where they're farming solar, taking land and putting panels as far as the eye can see. Personally, I don't like using farmland for solar. There's too many other places, but you could put it over brownfields. Since I'm near Flint, Michigan, I'm used to contaminated land. Well, we could plant clover and other items there to help fix that land. And in the meantime, those panels could be set up to induce electricity, making the land usable while we're fixing it. The pros about solar panels? Well, they always create electricity. You can use them forever. Now, yes, they'll get a little degraded over time. They'll produce a little less. But they don't stop producing. They'll never go to zero, and that's fantastic. Now, there is some cons to solar. There's no good way to recycle the panels. There's really no good way to get rid of the panels. They should really stay up, even when they're not as efficient as they could be, because we don't want to bury them in the ground. There are some issues with the technology, and it really has to do with waste. At least the front end is clean. And there's also some other issues with production. They create a lot of emissions. But they do create enough electricity to become carbon neutral within 7 years. And that's important. Now, there's also other ways we use solar power, like the concentrated solar tower, and I said it like that on purpose because it looks like Sauron's eye from The Lord of the Rings. It's just another steam engine, really. But it's really impressive to look at. It's this huge tower, usually in the middle of a desert, filled with salt, with mirrors all the way around it, all focused at the very top, where Sauron's eye would be, creating a tremendous amount of heat and melting that salt. That salt comes back down, runs through water, boils water, and, like I've said before, steam engine. But it is using solar power. There's also a parabolic solar, which is like a trough, where the same thing kind of happens. You ever see a solar cooker? We made them in STEMnetics with the kids. You build almost like a bowl where the light shines back to the center. Well, that focuses that light into heat, and then you can cook food there. This kind of works the same way, except for it's just a pipe. All that solar radiation focuses on the pipe, heats the water, and I think you know where I'm going to go here. Always a steam engine. Maybe we need someone to invent something a little bit newer. But as of now, a lot of things are just steam engines. Last, we can use solar for home designs. Passive housing uses it for water heating by putting black pipes up on the roof, where light can heat them up, and then when you use the water, you have nice hot water coming into your house without the use of electricity. So those are some of the main ways we use solar power. Hope that helped you out, Grayson. I appreciate your question. And for the rest of you, I hope you liked this episode. If you did, share it with a friend. Post it on social media. Leave us a comment. We always like to hear from everybody. Thanks again, and we'll see you next week.